simple. I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and to the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong.
Welcome aboard to Shipfaced, everyone. Really excited to celebrate the Queen's Platinum Jubilee with you in this episode. And as you notice, we have two very special ship models, Queen Elizabeth II on the right, and what I call Queen Elizabeth III from 2010. For these ship models and other beautiful models, head to YESTRToys, a company on Facebook which specializes in resin 3D printing. Just click or follow the link in my description. Cunard line has had a long, healthy relationship with the royal family, and it began back in 1936 when Edward VIII abdicated the throne to his younger brother. According to Edward, he abdicated because the royal family treated his wife poorly, and he chose to live a life with her rather than with his family, and in doing so gave up his title, his name, his palace, everything. And all of it passed to his brother George. This was the source of much resentment in the royal family towards Edward for him, quote, quitting when it didn't suit him, and instead shoving the enormous responsibility of ruling onto someone it should have never been given to. It was unavoidable, and George became King George VI, and his wife became Queen Consort, and initiated the relationship between the royal family and Cunard in naming Cunard's running mate to Queen Mary the Queen Elizabeth after herself. A true running mate and successor to Cunard's Queen Mary, just a couple of years prior, Queen Elizabeth was a much more modern interpretation looking forward to the future. She had a sleek bow with no well deck. She had clean, streamlined upper decks, not cluttered with ventilation cowls like the Queen Mary and the Mauretania. She was a liner for the future, but she was also built on the eve of World War II. Just a few years later, World War II broke out, and at the time, Princess Elizabeth and her sister Princess Margaret had to retreat to Windsor Castle for extra security, which was outside of London. Despite that, in her time in the beginning of the war, she wanted very much to join the war effort and do her part. Her family and the palace strongly disagreed, saying that no royal family member has ever joined the military and shouldn't, until finally, by the end of the war in 1943, they relented and Princess Elizabeth joined the Auxiliary Territory Service and became a mechanic, learning how to deconstruct, repair, and disassemble engines of any type. While in the service, she earned the nickname Princess Auto Mechanic. When the war ended in 1945, she began courting her childhood sweetheart, Philip Mountbatten, and in November of 1947, she was able to marry him. Just a few years later, on tour in South Africa representing her sick father in the Commonwealth, she received notification that her father had died in his sleep from lung cancer. At the age of 21, she transitioned in her role from heir apparent to heir presumptive, and her life would change forever. By the time she was 25 years old, so just 4 short years later, in 1952, Princess Elizabeth became Queen Elizabeth II, anointed and crowned, and addressed her people for the first time as sovereign. In 1967, Cunard Line reached out to the Queen and requested her presence at the naming ceremony for her to do the honors, and she saw a lot of herself in the ship. Queen Elizabeth II, the ship, was deemed by critics around the world as a poor decision, because the world was transitioning from steam liners to jet liners. So it was deemed irresponsible from critics around the world for a company to invest in another ocean liner, something outdated and ill-fit for the future. Much like some of her own cabinet's perspective on herself, believing that the Queen in a man's world had no place. But in the end, both queens turned out to prove the world wrong. The Queen Elizabeth is the longest reigning monarch in Britain's history, and Queen Elizabeth II is Cunard's longest serving ocean liner in their history as well. Having been present at every Cunard Queen Elizabeth naming ceremony so far, Cunard Line extended the opportunity for the latest iteration of the Elizabeth liner and invited her to be the madrina and do the naming ceremony honors for their latest queen.
I name this ship Queen Elizabeth. May God bless her and all who sail in her.
Her Majesty the Queen has become one of England's greatest monarchs, absolutely, and the liner bearing the name Queen Elizabeth for Cunard Line has also proven itself time and time again to be a paragon of luxury and a symbol of Britain at peacetime. More than just a ship, MV Queen Elizabeth ferries Cunard into the future as an ambassador to the world, wherever she goes. Other cruise lines, much like the Queen Elizabeth's namesake, have been inspired by her dignity and her prowess. To quote Prime Minister Winston Churchill, Queen Elizabeth's favorite and greatest mentor, we say the prayer and the anthem, God save the Queen. Alright everybody, thank you so much for watching this latest episode. Tune in next week for the next installment and a new ship. Take care, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already.